guys, Derek here with Tap and Turn Gaming, coming at you today with an EDH deck tech. This deck is for, as you can see here, Prime Speaker Zegana, a competitive build for less than $50. It may seem a little redundant, but you know, the subscriber who requested this deck wanted to get the most out of the deck while still being budgetized. So we went ahead and took the challenge. The user who subscribed this was Nerul PT. And being that this is a budget deck, it needed to come in at less than $50 without the cost of the general decks and sleeves, as those are our general stipulations for this type of deck. And the price for this deck actually comes in at $49.52. So we're right on the cusp there of being on the budget, which we were able to do it, so that's good. But now I'm going to go over the cards and why we made some of these choices. Obviously the general is Prime Speaker Zegana. She is a 6-cost 1/1 Merfolk Wizard. May seem like a high cost for a 1/1, but she is pretty potent. When Prime Speaker Zegana enters the battlefield with +1/+1 counters on her, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control, and when Prime Speaker Zegana enters the battlefield, you draw cards equal to its power. So basically what happens is if you have a 5/5 on the board when she comes in and that's your biggest guy, then she's going to come in with 5 +1/+1 counters, and you're going to draw 6 cards because 6 is her current power. It's a really cool ability. Gives you a lot of card advantage when you cast her. Because if you're just casting her straight on turn 6, you've burned through a bunch of cards. You're going to draw a bunch more to make up for it. So I'm going to go over the deck, you know, while more or less I made some of these card choices. You know, feel free to agree or disagree. You know, let me know what you think. But first up, I'll go over our sorceries. We have Bramble Crush because it can destroy target non-creature permanent. Cultivate for the ramp. Devastation Tide to have to have a pseudo sweeper. Explosive Vegetation for the ramp. Kadama's Reach for the ramp. Niss's Expedition for the ramp. Recollect because getting stuff back is always good. Regrowth because getting things back is always good. Sky Shroud Claim for the ramp. And Stolen Identity to be able to copy things and cipher it. It's really, really not a bad card at all. I found this card to be really good a lot of times. Because generally you're paying 6 to get that clone of something. And when you cipher it onto it, it makes whatever creature you cipher onto it a huge target. And you can use it almost politically because people are going to want to kill the creature that has the ciphered card on it before they may kill something else because they'll see you being able to get that value off of it. So I've definitely used that politically before, and it's really, really cool. For artifacts, we run Argentum Armor so that you can try to destroy the permanents that you can't destroy otherwise. Ashnod's Altar because you always need a free sack outlet. Bow of Nilia because it has so many good modes, but primarily because it gives your attacking creatures death touch and it makes them devastating to block sometimes. But I mean, being able to put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature, or deal 2 damage to target creature with flying, or gain 3 life, or put up to 4 cards from your library, from your graveyard rather, into your library. It's just got so many good modes. It's really, really good. Conjurer's Closet for the free flickers, Mere Turbine for the free tokens. Then we have the Simic Cluestone, Simic Key Rune, and Simic Signet just for the more mana ramp, and Strionic Resonator because it can copy target triggered ability. So something like when Zegana comes in, or Acidic Slime comes in, or Scrivener comes in, there's so many triggered abilities in this, and, you know, not activated abilities, so it's really, really helpful. For enchantments, we have Awakening Zone, just the one, you know, no big deal. For lands, and I didn't say this before, usually I say it in my Battling with a Budget deck techs, it is so crucial to your budget to hit your land base first. You know, you can run, if you run 38, 37, 39 lands, whatever you want to run, and you cut that to primarily basics, you are able to then go in and just spend so much more money on cards. You know, you don't need $8, $10 fetches and $15, $20, $15, $20 fetches and $8, $10 shocks and $5 pay lands when you can just run forests and islands and enough ramp to properly get them out. So I run Alchemist Refuge to give my stuff flash, Evolving Wilds for the filter, Halimar Depths for the basically 3-way scry-ish kind of ability, Mosswood Bridge for the hideaway, Terramorphic Expanse for the filter, and then we run 16 islands, 16 forests, very basic land base. But because I run Cultivate, Explosive Vegetation, Kadama's Reach, and Niss's Expedition, and Sky Shroud Claim, I can get the proper colors that I need and do it well, and it's all good. Then we run both 21 creatures and 21 instants. I'm going to go over the instants first. So we run Cancel, Counterspell, Capsize. The buyback on that is what makes this card always worth it. If you're playing blue, you're probably playing Capsize. Counterspell because it's a counter. Rift because everyone knows Rift is awesome. Defend the Hearth. It's just a fog, that's all. Prevent all damage that we dealt to players this turn, just because, you know, this deck is about winning, so this will let you just be able to go all in on your turn with your mana, save back 2, and if your opponent swings, you can fog it away. Delay for the counter, Deprive for the counter. You do have to return a land you control to your hand, but you can use that with something like once you've already activated Mosswarp Bridge, or once you've already activated Halimar Depths to be able to re-trigger that ability, and that's very nice. Disdainful Stroke, really cool. Counter. Druid's Deliverance, another fog, and you get to populate if you have a token down. Echoing Truth is awesome against token decks. Familiar's Ruse is another counter, and you do have to bounce a creature to your hand, but we have so many creatures with comes into play abilities, it's really worth it. Fog. Fresh Meat, this is great to counter any Wrath, and there's always Wrath going around. It's just really a good card. Ghostly Flicker, reuse those abilities. Moon Mist, another fog. Mystic Genesis, a counter that will give you a guy. Plasma Capture, a counter that will give you mana. Reality Shift, because exiling is also very nice. And then we have Simic Charm. Stubborn Denial, so we have another counter. As long as you're ferocious, it's a hard counter, otherwise it can just pay 1. And Winds of Kalsisma, which is just another fog. So I did go a little heavy on the fogs and the counters, because basically I wanted to be able to... The fogs are going to really help against the aggro decks while we sort of set up our board presence. You know, you can let an aggro deck just attack you and go ham on you while you just fog it away. We have, I think, 4 or 5 fogs in here, and that really will make a difference against the aggro decks, you know, to really slow them down. So now we're going to go over the creatures. We run Acidic Slime because he breaks things. Archaeomancer to get our things back. Brutalizer Exarch because you can tutor for the creature that you want, or you can get rid of a problem enemy toy, and those are both really relevant modes. We have Clone, Deadeye Navigator because he's awesome. Draining Whelk, counter is awesome. Edric Spy Master of Tress, in a one-on-one, this guy is phenomenal. In a multiplayer game, you put him down, and people might actually protect him because of the value they'll get from him attacking their opponents. So he's very political, but he's very awesome. I remember when he was going for like $10, $15 until he got reprinted. We have Fathom Mage because drawing cards is good. Fierce Empath for the tutor. Indrik Stompala to break all the toys. Lorthos the Tidemaker because late game, when you can play this guy and you have that 8 mana to tap down 8 permanents and they don't untap, you know, if you up to like 16 mana and you tap down 16 of their permanents and they don't untap, it becomes game very quickly. And he's also an 8/8, so he's not small. Mystic Snake for the counter. Peregrine Drake for the mana untaps. Reclamation Sage to break things. Scrivener to get things back. Spore Frog for a creature-based fog. Steel Hellkite to also break all the things. Terran because we're going to really benefit from all of our spells to, you know, we have 21 instants and sorceries, so there's basically 21 options to get a Drake off him, a 2/2 flying Drake, and those become very real threats late game. Temur Sabretooth because this guy's super underrated. He's almost, I think, as good as Deadeye Navigator, except for the fact that he returns it. But I mean, he can save creatures while Deadeye can't. He lets you reuse their abilities, though you do have to cast him, and he makes himself indestructible. This guy is really good. I mean, if you're playing green, you really need to evaluate if you're not running this creature, why aren't you? Then we have Terastodon to break all the things, and Woodfall Primus to break all the things. So now what I'm going to talk about for a minute is just some of the really good interactions we have. I mean, we have our sorceries and our instants, and those are whatever. We really have a lot of good interactions here with the creatures. So once you get down Deadeye Navigator, and then you find a, where is he here? A Mystic Snake or a Draining Whelk, you have basically infinite counters for 2 mana per. You know, for every 2 mana you invest, you can counter whatever spell your opponents are going to cast. And that is a real good lockdown effect. But if you have Deadeye Navigator and Peregrine Drake, you have now infinite mana. Because you pay 2 with Deadeye to flicker him. When Peregrine comes in, he untaps 5 lands, so you can tap 2 of those 5 to do it all over again, and you can generate infinite mana. And once you have infinite mana, with something like Lorthos down, you can tap infinite permanents. And with, you know, you can just do so many good things. With infinite mana, You could also use, where is he here? Temur Sabertooth's ability infinite times to bounce as many guys as you want back to your own hand and recast them. So being able to bounce infinitely with Temur Sabertooth and to keep playing Fierce Empath to tutor for any of your guys, and to keep destroying things with Reclamation Sage, or keep destroying things with Acidic Slime, keep destroying things with Terracodon and Woodfall Primus here. It's very, very potent abilities when stacked together. It really, really is. And then also, if you have your Deadeye Navigator and Peregrine Drake going on, and then you also have infinite mana for things like Ghostly Flicker, and when you Ghostly Flicker Archaeomancer, Archaeomancer will take back the Ghostly Flicker, and then you can use your secondary target on any one of these guys when it comes into playability. You just have so many cool options in this, and it's really, really good. I do feel like the counters and the fogs, so you have a bunch of counters, a bunch of fogs over on the side. I really feel like the counters and the fog will help you get there, will help you set up and hold down the board while you just get to the point where you can just start destroying everything. A notable inclusion that you could have possibly in the deck is to take out one of these guys or one of these spells for maybe Aether Snipe, being able to bounce creatures. I hadn't really considered that in the beginning, but just something like that. Or Mold Drifter to draw cards. But, once you get sort of your Deadeye Navigator combo going with any one of these guys, nothing's going to stand in your way. Nothing. All you need to do is get Deadeye Navigator down, get your infinite mana going with Peregrine Drake, and then, get him down, get Zegana down, draw some cards, find your Fierce Empath or your Lorthos. Once you find your Fierce Empath, you can find your Lorthos, and then you can tap down literally every single thing and just go ham. Because you're going to tap down all their stuff. They can't untap on their turn, which means it comes back around to your turn because they couldn't do anything, and then on your turn you can swing for the team. And if you swing with your 8/8 Lorthos and your 9/9 Terracodon and your 6/6 Woodfall Primus, you're hitting for, 9, 15, 23 damage right there. But then if you already generated infinite mana, you can do it again, keep their stuff tapped down with Lorthos, and just win. It's not bad at all. Also, when you have your infinite mana with Deadeye and Peregrine Drake, and you're using Ghostly Flicker infinite times, that's also giving you infinite 2/2s with Tauren. So there's a lot of synergy going on in the deck. There's a lot of things you can do with it, and that's really, really cool. So we'll just take a look real quick at these numbers over here. As you can see, the deck is pretty much split almost dead down the middle between blue and green, so we have a fair amount of both colors. We do have the creature base and the instant base are the same. Sorceries and artifacts are about the same, only the one enchantment. And per usual with an EDH deck, the lands make up about a third of your deck. But we actually have a pretty good curve, I believe, I came out with in the end, is that, turn 0 you got nothing, turn 1 you got a couple things, and then turn 2 you have a lot, 3 you have a little less, 4, 5, 6, but it curves down nicely. You're not curving up into the big stuff. So by turn 5, you have a lot of things in this general cost that you can play. So as the game goes longer and longer and longer, you'll have more and more things you can cast per turn and really just get that advantage. The price for the checkout does say $60.06 on TGC, but that is mostly because TGC doesn't necessarily price with their mid, and it also doesn't look for the cheapest set. So finding the cheapest printing of the card, and then not having the general and the deck box and sleeves included, this deck does come in at $49.52. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys got some ideas from it. Let me know some other cards you could add. Again, this is Prime Speaker Zegana competitive for less than 50. I did put competitive in parentheses because it was as competitive as I felt I could really make it while not going over that budget of $50. Things like Tooth and Nail, Defense of the Heart, Court of Calling are a little out of the budget for it. But again, this is Derek with Tap and Turn Gaming. Hope you enjoyed the deck. Nerul PT, I hope you enjoy the deck. We will catch you later with future videos, and I will sign off for now. Have a good night.